Zoning and Land Use Committee to order at 6:30. And I have a guest to come and speak to us today about my first motion. Go ahead. Just give me your name and address to the record.
Charlie Adler, 24th Street, Attleboro. Locust Valley has long held a special place in the hearts of the people of Attleboro. People of my generation who have lived here most of their lives remember Locust Valley as a great place to play golf or to take kids sledding. And I'm a newcomer, I've been here since 1986, but I have those memories too. My friend Don Doucette, who I think many of you know, once wrote the following: Locust Valley is imprinted in the mind like a giant watercolor. Grazing dairy cows, brightly dressed golfers making their rounds, laughing kids on sleds, spring peepers in Thatcher Brook, the smell of hay, crickets in late summer, and those many full moons rising in the east. For many of us, Locust Valley flows in our veins. This is an outline of the 325 acres which make up Locust Valley. It actually has been divided into several parts. I'm going to walk you through a timeline beginning in 1986 to explain why it was divided and who owns, controls, and restricts each part. But first, I want to mention another equally beloved natural feature of Attleboro, Oak Hill. Locust Valley and Oak Hill are really part of the same landscape. Oops, what did I do there? I think I hit another button that I shouldn't have. Oh, there we go, okay. For this story, we go back to 1956. At that time, Alfred Morse of Morse Sand and Gravel had just purchased Oak Hill with the intention of eventually leveling it for its valuable gravel. Things came to a head in 1962 at a public hearing of the zoning board where residents delivered a petition and voiced their concerns about Oak Hill being destroyed and heavy trucks running through their neighborhoods. A year later, the zoning board delivered its decision that the zoning law did not permit such an extensive gravel removal operation in single residential districts. The board also noted in its decision the potential recreational value of the area. Morse Sand and Gravel returned in 1975 with another plan, this time to only lower Oak Hill by 88 feet and to create a new subdivision of 126 homes. I don't think that Morse got very far with this proposal, as no such subdivision ever got built. But it did again galvanize the public to let it be known that this area was highly prized by Attleboro residents. In 1990, Mayor Kay Shang negotiated the purchase of Oak Hill from Morse, thereby shutting down any further attempts to mine its gravel. Part of that purchase, you can see down in the bottom there, was set aside for the construction of Wamsutta Elementary School. And the remainder, the hill, the water department needed a place to put a standpipe to improve the pressure in the city's water system. So the top of the hill did not remain pristine, but a public purpose was served. And there's still plenty of wildlife habitat contained within that parcel. So I guess that was a win-win. And now to the timeline. In 1986, the Fafford Company proposed a development of 640 housing units plus expansion of the golf course, Locust Valley, to 18 holes. In 1992, in the fallout from the 1980s savings and loan crisis, Fafford went bankrupt and Old Stone Bank foreclosed on the property. In 1993, Old Stone Bank was placed in receivership by the federal government, and Locust Valley came under the control of the Resolution Trust Corporation, a federal agency formed to clean up after the savings and loan crisis. Mayor Judith Robbins tried but failed in a bid to purchase the entire parcel, but continued her negotiations. The RTC placed a 30-year restrictive covenant on the 120 acres you see outlined here, including the golf course, limiting the use of the land to recreation for the benefit of and enforceable by the city, with the option to renew for additional 20-year terms. And shortly thereafter, the RTC sold a 132-acre parcel, part of Locust Valley, to the city. And then within less than a year, the RTC sold this restricted parcel, now under the restrictive covenant, and those yellow areas that total 72 acres and are unrestricted to CAD 2 Limited, which is the Burke family. Now, 3 years later, as the owners of the golf course were still, they were planning to expand it to 18 holes, but they found that they needed more land. So the city agreed to sell them 17 acres. And that is why there are two restrictions for renewal before you. One initially was made in 1995 and another in 1998. So you had the same 3-year difference in the renewal timetable. Now, it turned out that upon further examination, the extent of wetlands meant that they really needed more land to be able to expand the course to 18 holes. So the owners of the golf course came back to the city and asked for 42 more acres, but there was, although the city council did approve this and the mayor had requested it, there was much local opposition. The sale did not occur, and Locust Valley did remain a 9-hole course. So we're back to that configuration. And sadly, in 2016, Locust Valley closed permanently, having experienced a steady decline in the number of golfers, the number of customers coming to the course. And I think that's probably a broader trend as well. So here's where we are today. We've got actually quite a swath of land that is protected in one way or another. So if we go from the left to the right here, remember that in 1990 we acquired the Oak Hill parcel. In 1995 was when the city purchased the parcel from the RTC. Now, that 1936 parcel just happens to be some land that was foreclosed on by the city, I guess, for lack of payment of taxes. The 2014 parcel is the Handy Street Conservation Area, which the city acquired. And then the 2009 parcel is Attleboro Springs, which was donated by La Salette and is now actually owned and managed by Mass Audubon. So we have one great interconnected swath of conservation land, essentially. Here's another look at that from a different perspective. And so here we can see the blue outline in the back shows that area that I just mentioned is already being protected. And the yellow area is all of the land that remains under the ownership of the Locust Valley Golf Course. And it includes that, now that yellow outline includes both the restricted portion and the unrestricted portion. So just in general, is speaking to what's before you, the renewal of the restrictions. Why acquire open space? Well, don't we have enough? Well, there's sort of like a endpoint in planning circles, which is considered to be build out. That's when every available parcel that can be developed has been developed. And there are projections, I'm not sure what the one is for the city, that it's a certain year you're going to reach that point where there just is no more land. Land, they aren't making any more of it. So now the land that won't be developed, it will be land that has been set aside for permanent protection as open space. So I was actually on the open space plan committee in 2002, and what we put in as our recommendation was that the city should work itself and with other entities to try to protect 1 acre of open space for every acre of land that is developed. So as more land is developed, we need to keep pace, keep up our part, and try to keep adding to the open space inventory at the same time so we don't get behind what's being developed. So, and then if you look at Locust Valley, that's such a large area of land. That's another prime consideration when conserving land, is if you can find pieces that fit together into one contiguous whole. That's much better for wildlife, for one thing, because they won't be running into our backyards, and for water protection too, I think, and just in general. So we have a wonderful area already here, and we want to complete the work in that area. And why is Locust Valley a priority? I got involved with the efforts to save Locust Valley in the 90s. Having moved here in 1986, I was actually involved in founding the Attleboro Land Trust, and our prime purpose at that time in 1990, our focus was Locust Valley. That's what initiated the formation of the Land Trust. We made efforts to try to conserve. We didn't really succeed in that, but we have stayed with it and tried to provide support to the city in its efforts to acquire part or eventually all of it. And I mean, I'm not speaking, in terms of any policy recommendations on behalf of the Land Trust. I'm just sort of here today on my own, but just want to mention that. In fact, I was also on the council in 1992 and 1993, and proposed at that point a motion that the city purchase Locust Valley, and Mayor Robbins did acquire part of it. But why Locust Valley as a priority, a top priority for open space? In addition to what I've already said, I guess that's where I was going when I started this digression, but the citizens of Attleboro have been voicing their support for the preservation of Locust Valley for decades. If you go back, including Oak Hill, back to the 50s at least, through petitions, surveys, packed hearings, grassroots organizing, letters to local newspapers. I've got stacks of clippings, some by others who were here before me have given them to me, including that Oak Hill bumper sticker you saw there. I've got the original of that. So the newspaper clippings just over and over again recount all the different efforts that citizens have made to try to keep watch over that whole area that is, I think, maybe the most prized area for conservation in the city. Why extend the restriction? To temporarily protect those 210 acres that are now owned by, the 200 acres that are restricted and owned by the golf course right now. That restriction needs to be extended. When I remember when it was first put in place, and I just kept thinking, why is it temporary? Why is it not permanent? Will this be forgotten? It's sort of like a time capsule. You hope someone opens it up at the appropriate time. So I hope you will open that time capsule. So the reasons to do this are, as I said, number one, to protect that temporarily protect that 210 acres, and then to give the city time to plan for and fund an acquisition that would permanently protect the 210 acres or the entire parcel. If that's the overall goal, I believe, in the capital improvements plan, which was just approved by the council to acquire the entire remaining portion of the golf course. So I think that's all I have. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hi, thanks, Charlie, for coming in. Really appreciate it. I've lived in Attleboro for the most part of 54 years. So I'm fuzzy about some of the details, but I always heard, when I was a lot younger, that the owners wanted, obviously, it's always been wanted to go to 18 holes. And the rumor that I had heard was that the course that had some extra land, they were willing to give a certain amount of land that was going to be more back to the city, but they were going to need land to make it so that they could get it to be 18 holes. So they were going to give more land back to get less land, but to make it flow better as an 18-hole course. Does that make any sense at all?
Let's see. I don't remember the part about them necessarily giving any back. I think they were just. I think there was somewhat of an understanding that the city would possibly make some of what it had acquired from the RTC available to the golf course if they needed more for whatever. I'm not sure if it was really for 18 holes or just to enable them to adjust the configuration of the 9 holes. So I think I'm not sure that was.
Yeah, I thought it was to adjust it. Could I have one more follow-up?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Triggs in Providence? So Triggs is a golf course in Providence, Triggs. So what happened was they at some point, and I might not be perfect with my details, but Providence owned a certain amount of land, and a company came in, and they bid it on the rights to be able to run the golf course and pay at least the land from the city of Providence. So the company takes care of the golf course, and they have a certain contract that they have to do all these improvements and do all these certain things, and they maintain the whole thing while paying taxes to the city in addition to bringing in a lot of business, because Triggs has become incredibly popular, and it is packed all the time. I don't know if is that anything that you see as a possibility, for this, or are they just wanting to, or is the best course of action to try to just keep it open space? Because it would be open space, but it'd be open space as a 18-hole golf course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really, I don't feel like I'm qualified to sort of address anything that involves, what the future negotiations might be about this, and I'm not, really in that position. But I mean, I would say that historically, the idea of the city operating a municipal course, I think maybe you and others also might remember that this kept coming up over the decades as a possibility.
Yeah, the city wouldn't be managing the municipal. It would be a company that would, and the city would basically be collecting the taxes while there would be a contract in place for this company that they would have to do all these sort of things, and they would completely run the golf course.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know if I should venture any opinion on this. I mean, if you're asking if.
I was just wondering if you saw that as or is the trust looking to just keep it as open space versus considering that other possibility, where it would still be basically open space, but it'd be open space as a golf course.
I didn't even really want to get into any policy recommendations for the land trust. We haven't really refreshed our thoughts on this recently, so I'm not going to put anything out as the land trust says this or that at this point.
Yeah, sure, I understand.
But again, I think that historically, I think many of us were certainly open to the continuation of the golf course. It wasn't, I'm not sure, I think for anyone, in the 90s when this is playing out, just to have it continue as a golf course would be fine. I certainly just regret the fact that it did, apparently, just wasn't able to, make a go of it financially. So, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that sort of brings things to a head, really. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Vice President Dolan, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Charlie, and thank you for the history lesson. I have our open space and recreation plans going back here to 1994. And, then it goes to 2002, 2009, and everything says, protect the natural resources of Locust Valley, Oak Hill area, work towards providing hiking and nature trails throughout. And you hit on a key point as far as contiguous land. So you go all the way from the Oak Knoll all the way up to Locust Street. That's a lot. And to continue these restrictions would just be for the better good of everybody in the city. And that includes environmentally. And I agree with everything you said. The endangered species, to protect it ecologically, all the protection efforts. I mean, this goes back decades, like you said. So I'm absolutely in favor of it, and I really appreciate you coming in. And I just hope that we can open up this time capsule now and extend it. So thank you.
Sure. Maybe just one more little metaphor, one more little nudge, although I don't think you need it, but I found this Bertucci's card on my bureau. It's good for $10, but it expires on February 29th. So right now I've got $10 in my pocket, but on March 1st, it's not going to be worth anything. So
Yep. No, that's
those
perfect.
deadlines have a way of creeping up on you.
Perfect analogy. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll just read the motion. I entertain a motion to approve the extension of 2 restrictive covenants as follows, and authorize the mayor to execute the attached notices of extension to be recorded in the Registry of Deeds in substantially the same form as appended hereto. The property located at 106 Locust Street, Attleboro, Massachusetts, Attleboro Assessor's Parcel ID of map 175, lot 264, map 175, lot 23, and map 95, lot 270. Restrictive covenant will be extended to and through November 25th, 2045. The property located at 0 Locust Street, Attleboro, Mass. Attleboro Assessor's Parcel ID of map 176, lot 1A. Restrictive covenant will be extended to and through December 9th, 2048.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Charlie basically said it all, why we should be keeping these restrictions. And I think one thing that, from Councilor Angela's question and what he had mentioned, is that this runs with the land. So whoever it is that does buy it, or if the city buys it, however it is, that restrictions stay with the land. So that just means that it has to be recreational or open space property. So no matter who buys it. And I just wanted to bring that out. So it has all the wetlands around it and acres of open space property. And I open it up for any other questions or comments. Yes, Councilor Lloyd.
Touching on what I asked a couple weeks back, have we reached out to the owner of the property? Anybody from the city or the committee?
The owner does know about these restrictions and actually knew about it when he bought the property. He knew about the restrictions, and that's why the golf course was put in at the time.
So I know he knew about it when purchased. Obviously, at that point in time, he wanted to own a golf course. He doesn't own a golf course anymore. So what I would ask again is, has he been contacted regarding an extension?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and he's very much in favor of it.
Okay. And he'll he'll come here and say that.
I'm sure he would, but he has met with the mayor. I'm well aware because he lives down in South, I know the family. And they're very much in favor of it. It's a plus.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice President Dolan.
Right, and so may I, to Councilor
course, go ahead.
LaVoy's point, we can always contact the mayor too if we have questions about any motions. So, I know you asked it last week or the week before or whatever that was. So the mayor's always available. She always says her door's always open. So if we have questions, we can email, call, or go up and see her. But yes, most of us know that he purchased it with the restrictions, and he's aware that we're intending on hopefully extending them. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this? Okay, seeing none, we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, I have a couple more. I entertain a motion to approve the layout and portion of Rathburn Willard Drive as a public way, length of 1,842.76 feet from station 0-40.86 to station 18 plus 01.90, and accept said way and any related drainage, water, and sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan Portion of Rathburn Willard Drive and Brennan Way, dated October 20th, 2023. Prepared by Alicia A. Zakowski, RPE, and Daniel F. Fleming, PLS, of Simodi's Consultants, Inc., which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works. The public,
Second. Sorry. Second.
The public hearing was on February 20th, 2024. And the motion is in order. Any comments or questions? This is basically when they put in the new high school and they put that rotary, and the street now extends from Brennan Middle School through to the high school. So it has the full street way through there. That's what that street is. Any other questions? Okay, so we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And entertain a motion to approve the layout of a portion of Brennan Way as a public way, length of 224.50 feet from station 0 plus 30 to station 2 plus 54.50, and accept said way and any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile stated Street Acceptance Plan Portion of Rathburn Willard Drive and Brennan Way, dated October 20th, 2023, prepared by Alicia A. Zakowski, RPE, and Daniel F. Fleming, PLS, of Simodi's Consultants, Inc., which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. This, again, is just another piece of that previous street acceptance for the street between Brennan Middle School and the high school. Any questions? So for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And that is all, concludes the business for the Zoning and Land Use Committee, and I move to adjourn for tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And the Zoning and Land Use Committee has adjourned at 6:59.
I'd like to call City Property and Claims Committee to order at 6:59. And from the docket of February 20th, 2024, I entertain a motion to surplus and trade in the police items below. They are all Glock 21s, and the serial numbers are for XBV 969, 1 XBY 107, 1 XB, actually there's 3 XBWs, 793, 794, and 796. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18 XBYs, and they are 103, 105, 109, 110, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 119, 974, 977, 979, 981, 983, 984, 988, and 993. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 XHDs, and they are number 732, 734, 735, 736, 738, and 739.
Can I have a second?
Thank you. Can we have a second? A second. Thank you. Any questions, concerns regarding that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3 ayes, that motion passes. From the docket of February 20th, 2024, I entertain a motion to accept the generous anonymous donation of a Panasonic PT-RZ970 WUXGA projector with an estimated value of $13,000 to Willett Elementary School.
Second.
Thank you. Again, this is a great donation. It's anonymous, but I see no reason for us not to pass it forward. Any concerns, questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. And that is all the business that City Property and Claims has this evening. I'd like to call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you.
701.
We are adjourned at 7:01. City Property and Claims. Thank you.
I call to order Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee at 7:01. From the docket of February 4th, 2024, entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Kimberly Dean of 217 Maple Street, Attleboro, to fill an unexpired term on the Council on Human Rights, term to expire February 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Council Tavares. Kimberly, if you want to come up to the podium, please. So if you speak in the microphone, name, address, and...
Sure. Kimberly Dean at 217 Maple Street, right across the street from Bliss Brothers Dairy. It's a problem, as we all know. I have been in Attleboro for 17 years with my husband and our 2 school-age children. We, prior to living in Attleboro, lived in Boston proper for a significant amount of time and chose Attleboro for the opportunities here, for the diversity, the culture, the mixed income status of the town. We felt very passionately about raising a family in a town like Attleboro and have been tremendously happy here since '06. With kids brings new relationships in the school systems, and I've been various parts of the PTO and board member for a lot of the preschool interactions I've had. Met a lot of people, in the community from when my kids were very, very young, starting back 13 years ago. I am very passionate about driving change. I am very passionate about speaking up for those who feel that they can't speak for themselves. I am on an employee resource group in my current position at work for the LGBTQ+ community, where we drive change in the corporate setting, which I'm sure, as you all know, is not very easily done. A lot of steps, a lot of approvals to do that, so I have a lot of experience with that. And I have attended 2 of the meetings with the council. I was able to meet Council Sawyer last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember when that was. I'm really interested in helping drive forward the initiatives of the Council on Human Rights and making sure that we can keep diversity and change here in Attleboro. I am actively involved in a lot of the events that go on around town. We attend the Pride flag rising every year. We're very intertwined with the Attleboro Arts Museum. My kids spend multiple weeks every summer in the Art Museum camp status. We're involved with the YMCA. My son's there right now with swim lessons. I dropped him. I said I'll be right back. We like to be very involved in everything in the town, and I feel that if I could join the Council on Human Rights, I could even take a more serious approach to keeping the city being what it is, what we love about it. So I would ask that you allow me that opportunity. I did speak to the mayor about 2 weeks ago prior to my going out of state, and she seemed pretty excited too. So I wanted to get in front of you guys and ask for your permission. I don't know,
Great.
suggestion.
Thank you. I really think you're gonna, be a great addition to it. It's a very important committee in the city. And councilors, any questions? Well,
That's fine,
okay.
I'll see.
Okay,
I'll see.
Council Sawyer.
Great to see you again. And I do think you'll be a great addition to the council. I see already just from joining in the meeting last a couple weeks ago, as you said, that you were ready to jump in and to everything that's going on in the council. And I would think it'll be great for you. And I think you took over my spot, so.
Big shoes to
see you
fill, I
then.
hear. Big shoes to fill. That's
Great
okay.
to see you then.
I'm up for it. Thank you.
Great,
Right.
thank you.
Councilor Waterman.
Yes.
Well, I'm very impressed by your zeal, if I may.
who I
I
am.
actually go back to 2017 when I was on that council,
Okay.
just before I got on this council. And that was a resurrection of it.
That's
at
what I
that
heard.
time. We came in and what do we do?
Yeah.
You know?
Where do we start?
Now I think we've been well resurrected, and I think you'll be a great addition to it.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Any
I
other
have
questions,
lots of
comment?
ideas.
Councilor Tavares?
Yes.
Just a comment. It's great to hear about your positive experience in Attleboro over almost 2 decades now.
Yeah.
I think. So, and great to see your enthusiasm to serve in the city. So,
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments? All right, seeing none. Great, well, thank you very much. I
Thank you very
appreciate
much
it.
for your time. Appreciate it.
All right,
Have a great
thank
night.
you. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. Okay, for the docket of March 5th, 2024, entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Christy Clausen to fill a 3-year term of Recreation Director, term to expire February 2027. Ms. Clausen was offered the position with the City of Attleboro effective February 12th, 2024, under a temporary 90-day appointment.
second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. So basically, Christy wasn't able to come in today because she's sick with COVID. So we're gonna. She's already doing the job, and she actually, when I was talking to her today, she was already out working, but under her own vehicle. She'd been not feeling great this weekend, feeling on the mend, but still not able to really be around people, but getting to check out the city and stuff. But we've seen her, I think everybody has seen her resume and stuff, and it's very impressive. She comes doing a lot through the YMCA and a lot of programs through the communities and stuff, so I think she's going to be a great fit. She's already been hired. The city, the administration is very thrilled to have her, and I think this is going to be another good hire. Any questions, comments?
Yes. It's not a question. I had an opportunity to meet with her last week. We had about a half an hour together. She's got her act together.
Yep.
And it's our win is Providence's loss, actually, because she was doing a lot for the city as well as before that with the Y. This is a very good move, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. She's going to be here on our next committee meeting. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. For the docket of March 5th, 2024, entertain a motion to approve the following 2 appointments to the Sturdy Memorial Board of Managers, Mayor Kathleen D. Simone and Council President James J. DeLucio, terms expire February 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. Obviously, we know both well. We've served with Mayor D. Simone on the council, and obviously, I think in President DeLucio, and I think this is going to be good. It's going to be great. So, any other questions, comments, concerns? Councilor Fuller.
I may not have heard you correctly. When does the term expire?
December 2025.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. From the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Duff White of Carnegie Way to fill an unexpired term of the Board of Police Commissioners, term to expire February 2026.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. So this was the Board of Police Commissions had gotten expanded so many years ago, And Duff White was on this when it was expanded. So as far as we're all concerned, this is a reappointment, and obviously Duff was a city councilor as well too. So basically, this is a reappointment. Any questions, comments, concerns?
No, I think it's a terrific reappointment.
I could not agree with you more. Duff is an outstanding person, and I think this is another great addition with Council Blair.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. From the docket of March 5th, 2024, entertain a motion to transfer $1,933.64 from account 1124-1000-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1124-100-599200 Citywide transfer to grant and further transfer of $1,933.64 to account 233-8N4-49970 municipal distribution to fund the 15% match associated with the Bristol Elder Services Grant.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Tavares. Obviously, this is just taking care of the grant that is going to help the Bristol Elder Services Grant, and which is fantastic. And as we discussed in committee a few weeks back, that this is a great thing for the Council on Aging and the Bristol Elders. So, any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. That's all for Personnel, Veterans, Human Services Committee. I call for adjournment at, if I can get my 7:11.
Second?
All right, thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.
Let's call the Finance Committee to order at 7:11. On the committee is myself, Councilor Reynolds, and Councilor Tavares. Tonight we have 3 items to talk about, but before I talk about those items, I'd like to talk briefly about the capital improvement plan and just talk about that a little bit and talk about the budget schedule. So last night I met with Gary Arasian, and this morning I met with Mason a little bit to talk about things, to talk about the schedule, about how we want to go about things. I wanted to briefly bring that up with both of you to feel that out. And the way I'd like to move forward with things, because with the capital improvement plan, because we have a few new counselors, I'd like to schedule tours of some of the sites like we've done in the past, and go through and visit police, fire, water, wastewater, and see some of these capital improvement projects and things like we've done in the past. Those have been incredibly rewarding to see, and traditionally we've done those on the weekends. So I'd like to try to schedule those for the weekends, and I'd also like to, on an off night, and we can figure out what night, have some of the department heads come in and talk about some of the items on their capital improvement plan, and just talk about, here are the P0s, P1s, and just kind of give them a chance to come before the council, talk about the items on their capital improvement plan. And so that's the capital improvement plan. And in talking to Mason, the budget is scheduled to come down around April 16th. Yes, April 16th is the date that he's roughly targeting. And that can shift, but roughly right now, that's kind of the date that they're targeting. So I'd like to get everything squared away and have the capital improvement plan approved before then. So I'd like to have, the weekends and the site visits done before that, and have people come down ahead before that. So roughly, I'd like to do all of that in March so that's not a lot of time for us to do all of that. But does that sound reasonable to you guys, to find maybe a weekend to kind of dedicate a Saturday and a Sunday to morning to go through and do that, and then maybe Wednesday or Thursday to have department heads come in and do an additional finance committee meeting. Are we okay with that, or? Okay.
Yeah, and I'd say as a newer counselor, I think that'd be really helpful for context too, doing the site visits and some of the follow-up from department heads. That sounds great.
Okay. Counselor Dolan?
Just to add, I would absolutely encourage the newer counselors or anybody else to go to these. They're eye-opening, and it's amazing to see how things run. I enjoyed it thoroughly, which is odd, water and wastewater. I'm telling you, I
Absolutely.
became a water and wastewater nerd when I saw how smart these people are and what they have to do to make sure we have clean water, and how they, how we have to treat it before we drink it, we have to treat it before we put it back out into the ecosystem and everything. It's really enlightening, and also to see any capital needs that they have. I remember going to DPW and seeing trucks that the floorboards were stop signs and, stuff like that. So I think it's an eye opener, and it gives you an appreciation for A, how hard they work, and B, the things that they need. So I would absolutely encourage it, and I think you'd all enjoy it.
I especially agree, especially with water and wastewater, where some of those projects are $100 million. Like those are some of the larger projects. Councilor Lavoie, Councilor Foy, and then Councilor Foy.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Would love to attend, especially kind of like you mentioned, a lot of big ticket items coming up under those plans. So I think it's pretty beneficial for everybody to see it before they vote on it. So I think that's excellent idea.
I'll try to give people as much notice as possible and try to. I think scheduling is going to be the challenge.
Yeah.
Councilor Foy?
To that end, I'm never available on Thursdays.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Anything else there? So I'll try to get that scheduled, and then we'll go. Was there anything else with that? And one of the other things that I scheduled is, in talking to Mason, I invited a guest to come down on the 26th to talk about, there's a potential increase in, for the committee meeting on the 26th to talk about the water rate. And so there'll be more information. I'll talk more about that as the date gets closer. But there's Courtney and Mason will be down, and there's the company that helped come down and formulate the water rate that will probably be coming down with the budget this year. We'll come down and talk about that algorithm, so that it's not a shock to us when the budget actually comes down. So that'll be happening on the 26th. So that's capital improvement, budget's expected to come down on the 16th. Is there anything anyone else wants to talk about before we get into the motions for the committee? All right. First item, from the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion to authorize the city to expend $690,000 of ARPA funds on costs associated with the replacement of security camera systems in Attleboro Public Schools, including Hill Roberts Elementary School, Hyman Fine Elementary School, Studley Elementary School, Thatcher Elementary School, Willett Elementary School, Brennan Middle School, Quello, Brennan Middle School, and Wamsutta Middle School. The estimated project cost includes a 15% contingency.
Second.
Motion's in order. This is using ARPA funds, as we talked about 2 weeks ago, or last week. The ARPA funds need to be under contract by December 31st of this year and used by 2026. It includes a 15% contingency. These cameras are for are not for the high school cameras, but these cameras are older cameras that can no longer be upgraded, and so if they ever stop working, they're just done, and so this is using federal ARPA funds to replace them before they stop working. So, and we need to use these ARPA funds before, we need to get it under contract before the end of the year. So, in talking to Mason, a lot of these things are trying to get these ARPA funds under contract before the end of the year. So I encourage us to support it. Councilor Tavares?
Just a question to confirm. I missed the first part of your comment. So will this upgrade bring the camera system in line with the technology that we have for the high school now? Is that?
Yes, it is the same.
It's the same. Okay,
Same
that's what I
system.
missed.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Councilor Angelo?
Thank you, Council Combs. Just to almost make a comment, really, is that the camera systems that we have now, from what I understand, are outdated, and they're not gonna be supported. So either we do something, or it could be major problems. So this is very important, and I will support this when it comes through council.
Councilor LeBoy?
Thank you. Is this like I know it's upgrading the system. Are we gonna add additional cameras, or is it solely replacing what's already there? Yeah, I'm not sure if you know that off the top of your head.
I did not ask that if we were
Okay.
expanding or adding additional cameras or not.
Either way, I support
I-
it. I mean, it's kind of, it's a need to have. Why would we not put them in the schools? I just thought that the figure was kind of high for 8 schools, but if we're expanding what's already there, it seems like it could be.
That's a good question. I'll get that answer for Tuesday. Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right. And then the next item, from the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion to authorize the city to expend $677,676 of ARPA funds on costs associated with the Park Street Sidewalk project.
Second.
Motion's in order. Again, this is use of ARPA funds. The overall cost of this project is $1.35 million for the Park Street sidewalks. This is to do both phases of the sidewalks. And so $672,000 is covered by Chapter 90 funds. This is approving the $677,000 of the ARPA funds. And the reason we're doing this now is because the state has agreed to do, to pave all of 118. And Councilor Angelo, we had talked earlier, and do you want to expand on this?
Thank you, Councilor Cobus. So originally, when we started this, it was going to be 3 phases. We've already done phase 1. And that started at Briggs Corner Store to a little bit past the Audubon Society. And then phase 2 was going to be going over to about basically La Salette, and phase 3 was going to go to Maple Street. But now the state came in and said, we're going to pave all of 118, and you can't touch 118 for 5 years. So, and you don't want to, at some point, cut into the tar. The best plan is to get the sidewalks in and then let the state pave 118. So, so now phase 2 and phase 3 is all going to be done literally very shortly. And I think this is a great thing because Park Street can be a very dangerous spot for people to be walking, and there's a lot of people walking there. I mean, it's Councilor Dolan, Vice President Dolan, territory as well. And I think this is going to be a great thing because I see it all the time. I'm at the corner of Park and Spruce, and it freaks me out every time I see people walking. And I'm driving up the street all the time, constantly, and this is just I think this is going to be a great thing to get this done.
Absolutely, especially both sides of Park and Emery. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. I agree with that completely. Walking on Park Street is really literally taking your life in your hands. I'm thankful for the sidewalk that we have now, but it doesn't go far enough for at least my walks. But honestly, like, the cars fly by you and you can just feel the breeze and you're like, just let me make it to the sidewalk. So I will absolutely support this when it comes to the full council. Thank you.
Councilor LeBoy.
Thank you. You know what's funny? It's like I just thought of this as you were reading this, but I think 2 years ago when I was driving down Park Street, a gentleman in a wheelchair, electric wheelchair, had tipped over because there's no sidewalks over there, just past the Autobahn, and people were just driving by, not helping him, and so we ended up stopping and helping him, but he was just complaining about how the roads were terrible over there, there's potholes, there's no sidewalk, and he had to like kind of ride in the dirt a little, which caused him to tip. So I mean, reasons like that are why things like this need to be done. So I support it 1,000,000%, and I would ask everyone else to.
Councilor Tavares?
Just thinking ahead, are there any longer-term infrastructure needs that you know about there on Park Street, whether it be utilities that need to be upgraded or anything like that? I'm just thinking about, Councilor Angelo mentioned, obviously there's probably going to be a moratorium for 5 years, right, cutting into the road. I'm just thinking about saving costs down the line if there's something that needs to be done in sort of the short term. Maybe the answer is no, but
I'm not aware.
Not that I have any more knowledge on this, but I just know from, working with Councilor Dolan and others, that there is a, the sewer in other, well, actually, there's not sewer on Park Street anyway, so it's not, from what I understand, it stops at a certain point. But the water mains, there hasn't been water main breaks on Park Street, as far as I know. The other issues with the water mains is more of Bishop Street, Pike Ave. There's on the list, and there's another one that I can't recall off the top of my head that is on there. And there's a whole list, and Park Street is definitely not one of them, so it's not an issue. But it's a great point that you brought up, Councilor Tavares. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, as quick as it's going to happen, there would be no time to do that anyways. But luckily, knock on wood, now they say this.
Right. Nice job.
But it's been there. Luckily, I've been there, living there for over 20 years, and in that one spot, and there has not been any water main breaks.
And for me, my hesitation would be I'm okay expending the ARPA funds on this. My hesitation would be with the Chapter 90 portion of it. I'm fine approving the ARPA funds, but it's just how we prioritize the Chapter 90. But I mean, that's up to DPW to expend those funds. So I'm all for approving the ARPA funds. So that's a vote.
Would you explain to us what Chapter 90 funds are? What your hesitation is?
Sorry, that's the money coming from the state to maintain our roads. We are approved based on the length of the roads in the city. Mm-hmm. The state provides us X number of dollars per mile to maintain those roads, and Councilor Conti always told us what do we get, 3.2 million or something, an incredibly small amount of money to keep the roads as bad as they are. You said every year, and because everything we always hear is there's so many potholes in the roads, and especially around this time of year, the roads are incredibly bad, and the amount of state aid that we get to Chapter 90 money that we get to maintain the roads isn't nearly enough, and we have to use it sparingly to sort of try to maintain the roads. And so, if we're going to direct some of that money towards installing new sidewalks, those are now new sidewalks that need to be maintained and sustained over time. But this is, we're also using ARPA money, and we're doing a broad stretch of this. It is, I mean, Park Street, Emery, like this is right bordering downtown. This is worthwhile, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Councilor
And
Waterman.
I totally agree with you. It must be very isolating for some people to try to get anywhere on foot if they have to. And before they put the sidewalk in on the other side last year, it was totally isolating. And I learned that when I tried to knock on doors this summer. So it was a scary proposition. So this is important.
Just to add to it, you got La Salette there, which there's always a lot of traffic
Yep.
in seasons for La Salette. You have the Audubon Society. We even had some neighbors, unfortunately, and now their sidewalks but they would more than once would have cars crash into their house. And literally right across the street from me, I've had to go over there and rescue people and help people get out of there. It's happened. I can't tell you how many times it's happened since I've lived there. And they were so thankful that we had put the sidewalks in, along with everybody else. So thank you for working on this.
Anything else with that one? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And the last item, from the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion that $1,500,000 be appropriated from account 1000-359000, general fund balance undesignated, to fund 8509 Special Purpose Capital Stabilization Fund to help the city better prepare for significant capital expenditures, both planned and unexpected, related to repairs and maintenance.
Second.
Motion's in order. This moves $1.5 million to the new account for capital improvement that we just created right before Councilor Conti left. This was the account that Councilor Conti had championed for years and years and years. And the idea for this is it's roughly 10% of what we estimate, or what the mayor estimates the Council on Aging building will cost, and it's sort of earmarked for that. It doesn't have to be spent on that, but that's what it's kind of earmarked for. To spend money out of this account, it requires a 2/3 vote from the council to spend anything from the stabilization fund. So this is great, and I encourage us to approve moving this money over. So, any other comments here? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And that concludes the business for the Finance Committee. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:32.
I call the IT and Infrastructure Committee to order at 7:32. All members of the committee are present, and we have one matter to consider from the docket of March 5th, 2024. I entertain a motion to approve expending of such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the receipt of a Mass EVIP grant from Mass DEP in the amount of $50,000. The funds will be used for the purchase and installation of a dual-port electric vehicle charging station. In addition, appropriate $6,950 from account 1000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 2354 the Mass EVIP as the municipal funds match. Furthermore, approve that the city obtain the 4-year extended warranty.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Kovas. This grant to the city creates a public access charging station around the corner from City Hall in the first 2 parking spots in the RMV lot that are currently assigned to City Council, or signed for City Council. The power station will have 2 ports, or plugs, or hoses, however you want to describe it. An interesting fact that I will add, this money comes from the VW Environmental Mitigation Trust. This was created because VW cheated on its diesel emission standards. This was a bit of a scandal
Oh, yeah.
10 years ago, something like that. And EPA created this fund. What VW did was create cars that when they were tested, when they were in that configuration, they showed no or virtually no carbon emission, extremely low carbon emission. When they were driven, as cars are naturally driven, they had the same carbon emissions as everybody else. That fraud was discovered. They entered into a settlement agreement. And these are funds that come from that agreement, probably now 10 years ago. In any event, I thought that was an interesting fact. The grant requires that the station that will be created with this money has to be completed within 6 months. We have to agree to maintain it. We, the city, has to agree to maintain it for at least 3 years. It has to be available to the public 24/7, and it will be here, as I said, around the corner. The charging station will be virtually 100% covered by this grant, both the acquisition of the charging station and the ports, its installation, and the labor associated with all of that. There will be a contribution from the city of $6,950. That includes a 10% contingency fund plus $2,000 some odd dollars that we're contributing to this station. It also requires that the city promote electric vehicles by leaflets, by having ride events, by the contract provides for non-electronic notice of the existence of this electric vehicle station. This motion, this grant covers the installation and bringing into operation of the station. The question of what rates will be charged to people who use the electric vehicle station is for a later day, and will come up when we look at the budget. For right now, all we're looking at is the expense of installing it, which is fundamentally covered by the Commonwealth. This is going to be the first public EV station in Attleboro. It makes good on our commitment to be a green city and brings us into the 21st century. The matters that aren't covered by this grant include a 4-year warranty, our connection to the internet or cell sites to allow people who have electric vehicles to locate the station, and certain monitoring and reporting obligations which are part of the contract. We agree to monitor the use, to figure out how many people are using it, what, for how long, at what rates, and to report back to the Commonwealth on the station. This is a unique opportunity to basically get for almost nothing a EV station in the heart of Attleboro. It is something that I expect will, as word gets out, become more and more used. It is going to be open to the public generally. It's not for the city's use. It's for any public person or commercial or not, any such use by anyone. That's what I have learned about this grant. Are there other questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Kobus.
Were there any estimates on profit?
No, there were no estimates. I asked both the city and the contractor. The fee for using this station has yet to be determined. Certainly, if there is money above and beyond the cost of maintaining the station and the cost of the electricity to us, that will go to the general fund. But there's been no estimate that has been given to me of what the cost will be to use that station, or what, if any, profit there will be. I was told by the contractor who worked on this that other communities in roughly similar situations often charge something like 35 cents or so per kilowatt hour. I don't know what that means, or whether that's a figure that for us would cover not only our electrical expenses and maintenance expenses, but some additional profit as well. No idea. I think we have to learn. Yes, Councilman.
Do you have any idea on what's covered under the 4-year warranty the city wants to purchase?
I do not. I did not ask that question.
Is it possible to obtain that before Tuesday or by Tuesday?
I will ask.
Perfect. And then my follow-up would be, so it's the city's intention to at least operate at cost on this, correct? There's no chance that we're going to be paying to have this take up 2 spots in a area where we're already limited on parking?
No one anticipates that. They anticipate that this is going to be well used, well accepted, and will pay for. It's hard to imagine how we can lose money, since the major expense will be electricity. But I'm not giving you a guarantee on that. Vice President Dolan.
I'm assuming that, so this is a
Excuse me, and Councilor Angelo.
so this is a charging station, so these 2 spots, they'll be used for people to charge their cars.
Yes.
But I assume other people will be able to park there to run into the RMV or to run in to City Hall or whatever?
No, these are exclusively going to be used for EV vehicles to charge them. And there will be, they're considering various strategies for the charges, or the costs to use this station. And one of the things that they are considering is that the station monitors, and when a car is full, I don't know, or fully charged, I guess, they're considering having a surcharge to the ordinary charge if a car stays there longer than is required to fully charge it. I think they anticipate that people will come downtown and charge for 2 hours or perhaps 4 hours, but it will be using 2 of the spaces that are now designated for City Hall.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I neglected to say that one of those spaces has to be handicap accessible. That's not a problem. That just requires some painting of the area. We're lucky in that regard. Yes, sir. Councilor Angelo.
And I don't know if I'm misunderstanding this, but it says furthermore approve the city to obtain a 4-year extended warranty. So it sounds like we're voting on that as well. But is there a cost for that 4-year warranty?
Yes, that's my understanding. I can't tell you what that cost is, but I believe.
I was gonna say, if we could have that for
Yeah,
next Tuesday,
I'm
that'd
not
be great.
certain whether it's in the $6,900, because that's 29-something additional that the city is putting in, plus the contingency sum. So I will ask some questions about the warranty.
Thank you.
Certainly. Are there any other questions or comments? Then I call the motion for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No, that was 3 in favor. That concludes the business of the IT and Infrastructure Committee at 7:44. I call for an adjournment at 7:44.
Second.
Committee. Thank you, Councilor. We're adjourned.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye. No problem.
Now we're adjourned. Properly.
Call to order licensing committee. Time is 7:44. Do not have any business tonight, so I would make a motion to adjourn, I believe. Or I can just cancel it. Okay, perfect. So we will cancel the meeting for tonight, and we'll see you on Tuesday night. And that is at 7:45.
I'd like to call Public Works to order at 7:45. From the docket of March 5th, I entertain a motion to transfer $7,000 from account 112410000 578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 165010000 513000 Park overtime due to the excessive amount of overtime and callbacks in response to downed trees.
Second.
Thank you. So, as we know, the storms that we've been having, so this is overtime for forestry to pay to send everybody out to all the downed trees and everything that we had during these storms. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excuse me, motion passes. From the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion to appropriate $80,600 from account 6100-359000 at Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to the following: $52,000 to account 6100-511000, salary and wages full-time; $13,700 to account 6100-513000, overtime; $11,000 to account 6100-513022, callback overtime; $3,900 to account 6100-513003, overtime callback dig safe.
Second.
So this is for, so the salary and wages, there was a removal of the operator cap, and so as a result of that cap, there were 2 promotions within the department. The $13,700 was for just regular overtime. There were people out on FMLA, so overtime was required for other workers. The $11,000 is anything that was done outside the shift, their regular shift, any callbacks or any emergencies. The $3,900 for overtime callback dig safe, emergency dig safe. If there's an accident or anything breaks during the middle of the night and dig safe needs to come out, damages, water leaks, all that. So that's what all that accounts for. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion to appropriate $303,533 from account 100-359000, general fund undesignated fund balance to fund 2517, reserve for compensated absence to fund a portion of the general government share of compensated absence liabilities, and to further appropriate $16,868 from account 600-359000, wastewater enterprise fund retained earnings to fund 2517, reserve for compensated absence to fund a portion of the wastewater enterprise fund compensated absence liabilities, and to further appropriate $12,377 from account 6100-359000, water enterprise fund retained earnings to fund 2517, reserve for compensated absence to fund a share of the water enterprise fund compensated absence liabilities.
Second.
Thank you. So some of you that were here when we started this fund, some of you counselors may remember we started this fund, and for the new counselors, just to fill you in, this is a fund we started. You'll see sometimes, John Smith will retire from the police department and he has 5,000 hours of sick time, and we owe him $103,000 upon his retirement. So this fund was to prepare for retirements and stuff like that, so we're not kind of hit with it, because sometimes there's unforeseen leaves, retirements, etc. So this is to fund the general fund, which is the city side, and then the water and wastewater, which is the enterprise fund. So we're putting money in those funds to prepare for any future retirements and such that we need money to compensate employees for. Does anybody have any questions? Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of March 5th, 2024, I entertain a motion to appropriate $71,000 from account 100359000 undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, to the following: $41,000 to account 1420100 548010, Public Works gasoline; $30,000 to account 1420100 548011, Public Works diesel fuel.
Second.
Thank you. So this is for fuel costs. I'm sure anybody that's driven by DPW sees the fueling station there that fuels the entire city. This is a supplemental appropriation. As I'm sure everybody knows, it's hard to project down to the dime of what we're going to use and how much gas is going to be at the time. So this is a supplemental appropriation from the original. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And then I have one more from the docket of February 6, 2024. I entertain a motion to approve the following resolution regarding a feasibility study. Resolution of the Attleboro Municipal Council suggesting a feasibility study for transitioning to a municipal electricity provider. Whereas the city of Attleboro has experienced an increase in frequency and duration of power outages over the past 6 years, a trend likely linked to global warming and expected to continue as suggested by climate change impact studies. Whereas according to the American Public Power Association 2023 Public Power Statistical Report, publicly owned electric providers on average experience a significantly shorter duration of power outages compared to privately owned utilities, about 76 minutes per year compared to 138 minutes for customers of private utilities. Whereas the same report from the American Public Power Association indicates that publicly owned electric providers often incur lower operational costs, resulting in more affordable electricity rates for consumers, 12% lower on average nationwide, 20 to 30% lower in Massachusetts. Whereas neighboring communities such as North Attleboro, Mansfield, and Taunton have successfully implemented municipal electric systems, demonstrating the viability of such models in similar local communities. Therefore, be it resolved, Attleboro Municipal Council encourages the administration to conduct a comprehensive study and develop a recommendation on a feasibility study and potential benefits of transitioning from the current private electricity provider to a municipal electricity provider. This study should consider the financial, operational, environmental, and community impacts of such a transition, along with a detailed implementation plan. Further, this proposal is forwarded to the city administration for consideration with a request to engage relevant stakeholders, experts, and community in the process.
Second.
Thank you. So, this will be going to the administration because that would be under their purview to authorize any type of feasibility study. I don't know if anybody, if any of the other councilors read any links provided by Councilor Kovas. I did a small stint of living in North Attleboro, and it was great to have our own electric company. So I learned a lot researching this, though. I learned a lot from your nerd numbers. So I opened up the links. I'm like, of course, it's this big grid with all these numbers. But I also did some research as well. And from my understanding, it's quite a lift. It's quite a lift. And the neighboring communities that have this already did it, implemented this decades and decades ago. Would it be great? Absolutely. Is it feasible? I don't know. I don't know if I just read all the bad stuff. I tried to look for everything. I tried to look for stuff geared towards Massachusetts, but I didn't see a lot geared towards Massachusetts. It sounds like a huge lift. And when I also read about Massachusetts, that basically National Grid would have to sell to us. And in my head, they're going to be like, yeah, pass. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. So we can send this to the administration if you all agree, well, my committee at this point, if you agree to send it on to the administration, have them look into it. I don't know what will come of it, but it was worth reading about, and I learned a lot researching this. So we can just see what the administration would like to do. Hi.
Well, I would like to defer to Council Cobus. He was the main sponsor on this, and then I would like to speak after Council Cobus, if that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that you had your hand up, Council Cobus.
I raised it after, but sure, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Angelo. No, I encourage to send this forward. The main thing I wanted to say, and thank you, Councilor Dolan, for sending this up, is that I'd like to temper public expectations as well. And I think you did a great job doing that, because this is just asking for the administration for a feasibility study. They could look into this, the administration could look into this as there's absolutely no way, or it's too big a lift at this point. But I think we need to look at something. I mean, we see all these other communities that's just, it's working better than what we have right now, we need something. And all of the data I looked at was talking about these local municipal power companies do better. And so if we can do it, I'd like to try. But maybe maybe like you said, maybe it's not possible. Maybe it's too big of a lift. But we need to at least look into it. And this is that first small step. But I agree that we need to temper expectations. This is a very small first step.
Councilor Angelo?
Thank you, Vice President Dolan. I echo Council Cobus's sentiments. I do fear that the cost this time is going to be astronomical, but I completely agree that we do need to look into this. And in my industry, in my main job, I have customers in North Attleboro, and I have been hearing for the last 25 years on how great. The best thing about North Attleboro is their electric department, because the rates are very cheap, and we've seen a lot of hardships lately. If you've paid any attention to Facebook or out knocking on doors and listening to other constituents, that it is a hardship for a lot of people, and I think we owe it to the citizens to at least look into this, and then let's see if there's something we can do. If we can't, then at least we said, hey, we looked into it. We can't afford it, or it's not possible, but the fact is, at least if we're looking into it. And I would support to look into this, absolutely.
Councilor Sawyer?
I just had a question about, and I think he asked the question, but he also answered it for me too, is that what's the heavy lift? Is it the cost to the city? Is it, but hearing, he said it, but also that the cost to the people, residents of their electricity, hopefully would go down. But because I'm seeing, as you said, on Facebook and everything, a lot of people are saying how high their electric bill is, and I mean, I've even seen it. We have solar panels on our house, and it doesn't really do anything for our electric bill. Even in the summer. I mean, it does go down some, but I think that would be great to at least look into.
Thank you. Councilor Lavoy?
Thank you. Yeah, kind of touching on every point. I know when I looked up similar things, a lot of times where it's more of a heavy lift is where cities or towns implement their own supply lines. Obviously, it's still a heavy lift regardless, but where you kind of mentioned we would still purchase from National Grid, I would compare it to the aggregate program, where you're still going to get a reduced rate. The only difference is, so you pay the supply charges from National Grid. I think the difference there is, can we maintain it cheaper than National Grid charges us on top of the supply to maintain their lines? That's kind of what the study would entail. The only thing I want to make note that if you can make sure that it's included on the study is, would Attleboro get booted out of the Mass Save program? I don't know if they would, because National Grid's a supplier, but there are certain towns that are not eligible for that because they provide their own municipal power. So that's a big hit to some households if we get booted out of that program.
And I think, you know, this is all, I assume all this would be covered if we did go forward with the feasibility study. And I just wanted to read something that I had looked up regarding Massachusetts. Aside from the cost, towns must battle the utility, which usually packs a significant political and financial muscle. Sometimes towns must push to change the law. In Massachusetts, the ultimate decision of whether to sell is left to the utility. Lawmakers have been trying for nearly a decade to change the rules, citing high rates and poor maintenance and performance of private utilities after storms and as the main impetus. I don't foresee a rush by communities to do this, said Stephen DiNatale, a state rep from Fitchburg, Central Powers Day, blah, blah, blah. But I think that having that ability to do it would help to keep some of the investor-owned utilities in line. So clearly the state's been battling this as well, and I guess we could follow up with our delegation to see what they know about it and how far it's gone, if it's going to go anywhere. But again, you know, so I have no problem, and if my committee has no problem, we'll send it to the administration, see what they know and what they want to do. Council Foa.
Thank you. Is it possible to look at whether any of these other communities could sell us some electricity?
I don't know the answer to that, but since National Grid owns every single line and every single pole, I'm gonna go with no, just out of my gut. But again, I don't know, I don't have any knowledge of that. And I assume if another city or town was going to sell to us, I'm not sure how much of a savings that would be. So I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out for you if you'd like.
Well, I just wonder whether that's something we could include in the feasibility study.
Yeah, I can do some research on that.
Another source. Competition. Made America great.
Right. Council Kovas?
In the one thing, just in general, I'd like to add, and that I heard some people complaining about with one of the last storms. There were a lot of complaints about some of the repair people coming out to sort of repair the lines, and why can't they come out faster, and complaining at the time. And just in general to the public, like, that's not, like, during the time of the storm, these people are repairing things as fast as they can, and they need to do things safely. And at that time, safety is the concern. They can only work X number of hours, and there's only so many line people to repair the line. So, like, that's the issue. Isn't with the people repairing the lines, it's with sort of the utility companies in general, and maybe not doing proper maintenance ahead of time in between the big storms and all of that. But, like, the public shouldn't have concerns with the people actually repairing lines afterwards, and it taking 24, 48 hours for the electricity to come back on, because, I mean, at that point the damage is already done. So, like, I recognize that, like, the issue isn't with the repair people, and the public should also recognize that as well. And that's not where my concern is. It's more with the larger utility company as a whole, if that makes sense. And I just wanted to make sure to make that clear as well.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And I'd like to call for an adjournment at 8:03. Second, anybody?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned, thank you.
All right, I will call the Transportation and Traffic Committee to order at 8:03. And I'm going to bring out a couple of the items that have been adding into my list. In the docket of March 5th, 2024, I would entertain a motion to refer the following request to the Traffic Study Commission for study and recommendation: to create pedestrian crosswalks at two locations, the intersection of Commerce Way and Tiffany Street, and at 1400 Commerce Way, to assist residents of the complex to cross heavily trafficked thoroughfares. And this came out as new business from Councilor Faw. Thank you. The Traffic Study Commission has resumed working. They had last met in the end of November. So I had my first meeting with them last Thursday. And so they're going through quite a few items and playing a little bit of catch-up at this point. They were aware of this issue. Briefly, they discussed it. But I would like to ask if anybody on the committee or in the council would like to have anything anything you want to ask regarding this. Councilor Faw.
I went out to this intersection. I saw that there are trucks that are big and that move very rapidly through these streets, around these corners, and there's only a sidewalk on one side of the street. So asking just for a pedestrian crossing is really the minimal thing that you can ask for people to safely be able to walk their dogs in the neighborhood, to take a walk in the neighborhood. I think this is a reasonable and modest request. It was initiated by a constituent, but I think it's an important one and we ought to approve it.
So there's two different sites here.
Yes,
Yeah.
because...
You're thinking of one of them in particular?
No.
No.
I'm proposing, or I'm asking that the committee propose, first that you be able to cross the street from the unsidewalked side of Tiffany Street to the sidewalk side. And if you walk then toward County Road, you immediately come across another large intersection, which is Commerce Way. And maybe I've just turned the streets around. I think I just have. But you do come across immediately another large street with major traffic. So in order to continue on the sidewalk, you need another pedestrian crossing marking. That's all I'm asking.
Are there
I think
any
they go together. It's a coupled request that I'm making to your committee.
Right. They've begun discussing this, but they're not at a point yet of making a decision. And so I don't want to speak for the Traffic Study Commission, but now we're legally forwarding it to them. Are there any other thoughts or questions regarding this? Okay, so this is simply to send it over to the Traffic Study Commission, and they will advise us at this point. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Thank you. Well, I know you were pondering it. Thank you. Okay, that passes 3-0. So also, backing up, I guess, from the docket of January 2nd, 2024, the following new business was referred for study and recommendation to traffic for the committee and the Traffic Study Commission, both of us, to study the safety of the intersection at Slater Street at Pass Farm Road and Avalon Drive for pedestrians. And do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you very much. So I know this also came through as new business from Councilor Angelo, so I asked him if he would share with us, because this is also in your ward, Ward 4, your thoughts. And it also came through as I'll add, as a possible site for a crosswalk for the school buses, and the children land there.
Yeah. So thank you, Council Waterman. So basically, this is just to refer it to, all of these are to refer it to the traffic study. So not to get too deep into it, but I did have some constituents. I went out there, did a site visit. I know Council Waterman's done a site visit. And basically, it can be kind of crazy because you're crossing the street to get over to where the bus stop is, and there's also a problem with, there's a hill there that can be, if people are speeding and they're coming over that hill and all of a sudden you get a bus stop right there, and they really need to look at the whole thing and how can we make this a lot safer, because it's there's a lot of people that are walking, there's a lot of people that biking, but the big issue here is there is a bus stop, and for all the different buses that are stopping there, it can be a bit hairy with that hill coming in and coming down, and if they're just going too fast. So I'm thankful that this is finally getting to the Traffic Study Commission, and appreciate it, Council Waterman, for getting this taken care of.
Thank you. If any members of the council or my committee want to actually see this in action, it's 2 o'clock pretty much every day. A couple of buses come there, and the parents all come down, and of course, there are no sidewalks there. And there's a big hill as you're heading towards Rehoboth, coming down Slater. Well, not a big hill, but a big enough hill to totally hide where the children are waiting. So, Councilor Dolan.
You know, I'd be curious, obviously I'll vote in favor, but I feel like this has already been through traffic study.
It hasn't. Sorry.
Ever?
It hasn't, no. It had gotten held up in previous, and I think it basically got missed, is what happened. And
So I feel like I remember talking about this, and I feel like it
we
went.
talked about it because I brought it out in
No, it
in
was
new
before
business.
before you.
It hasn't. We haven't done anything with it for the 2+ years I've been on the council.
Right, I think it
So,
was before,
before
but
that, yeah.
I could be completely wrong. But anyway, I'm still in favor of it. So
Well, come back because we still need to pay attention to it, I think.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Here. So we're legally passing this along as well to the Traffic Study Commission. All those in favor?
aye.
Thank you. Opposed? None. It passes 3-0. And that is all we're going to have for this evening. I will continue to work with the Traffic Study Commission, and I'm researching what we did not bring out today, but we're not ready to bring it out. So I would call for a move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned, and concludes the business of our Traffic and Transportation Committee at 8:11. Thank you.
Ordinances, elections, and legislative matters is canceled for this evening, as well as the special committee on tax abatement.
Excellent. And before we all go, Council Angelo.
But two things. Special committee on classification compensation is canceled, but also public safety. Do you want me to cancel public safety, or do you want me to call it out? Do you want me to do it?
No, you can cancel public safety.
Okay, all right, public safety is canceled today. We call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
And Council Foa.
The Committee on Rules and Procedures is canceled for this evening. I call for committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
That's it. Good night, everybody.